today's video. If you are new to our channel, my name is Blanca, and this is my husband Corey.
Hello.
And together we own a business called Catalina's Dainty Designs.
I'm Cata, she's Lena.
So we are homeowners, and we also love to upcycle and restore all vintage furniture and all things DIY. So we made this channel and our business to do more of what we love and to share it with you guys. So today we have a dresser that we made over. You want to tell them about it?
We found it at an off-site estate sale. It was severely water damaged. The only reason we had really any interest in it is it was wood, of course, but it was giant. This dresser is 6 feet long,
right,
which is humongous.
And that's usually what we like when we're doing furniture, because wood is pretty much indestructible unless you burn it, or I guess water will damage it. But other than that, if you take care of it, they'll last forever.
Forever.
So we like wooden pieces because if it's painted, if it looks ugly, you just sand it down and it's as good as new.
Yep. And
this was essentially the case for this dresser.
Well, no. It looked like it had been somewhere where there was a water leak, and there was significant water damage on the top of the dresser.
Right.
So much so that it went through the paint, the secondary paint that somebody had put on there, the finish of the actual,
the original finish,
and the stain, and it had gone through the wood, and there was
the veneer.
There was absolutely no color left in it, and so I had to take it down completely. So I had to strip it all and then sand it just to get down to some good wood. And then from there I was able to move forward. But even then, the more I sanded, the more the veneer started to come off. So I ended up having to chip off a small sliver in the back of the...
all the loose veneer in the back.
Yeah, all the loose veneer in the back, and I ended up bondoing it, and came out really sharp, but I don't know if I recorded any of that.
Well, he didn't record the entire process, but I caught him right on time when he was smoothing out the end finish, and you can see some of the outline of where the damage was. So we have that footage. And for those of you who are not familiar with what bundle is, it is a compound, right, that is used for cars.
Yeah, it's like a putty that hardens, and you can use it to mold things like they use it to fix dents in cars a lot, or significant body damage or whatnot.
So why bundle over wood filler?
Because it hardens harder than wood filler.
Was that your first time using Bondo?
No, we use Bondo a lot on a lot of our projects.
So much so that I just went to Home Depot and bought...
She got the biggest thing of Bondo I've ever seen. Where is it?
It's in the closet.
Look at this.
It is the biggest Bondo. But
It's 7 pounds. This is the size of a newborn baby. Look how giant this thing is.
I am a big proponent of buying in bulk, especially when it's something that we use regularly, and I hate running out of things that we need. We already go to Home Depot like 20 times a week already, so I hate doing that. So anyway.
Yeah, and you lose money every time you have to stop and go buy something.
Right, so why do that? I just went ahead and buy the big one. But anyway, the dresser turned out great. It turned out really beautiful. We went with a clean finish. No distressing, no aging, no glazing, no waxing, none of that. So clean finish, nice detail on the hardware. We kept the original hardware because it was beautiful. And that is it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and how we made over this dresser. And if you have some furniture that is a little bit damaged or can be salvaged, especially if it's real wood, we definitely encourage you to do it, because like we said earlier, it will last forever as long as you take care of it.
Right.
So to start, let me show you a picture of what the original piece looked like. At this point, Corey had already taken some of the paint off to see if all we needed to do was sanding, but it turned out to have a lot more damage than we could see when the paint was on. So one of the things he had to do is repair some of the drawers, and that's what he's doing here. It was already loose. Since they are so old, the glue in between the dovetail or the dado joints had dried out and they were loose, so we had to essentially glue it back together. And since it's the entire surface or the entire perimeter, Corey went ahead and used this toe strap to apply some tension and to keep it in place. Then he used some of the clamps as well to help add a little bit more support, and we did this to a couple of the drawers, and then we were good to go. What you doing there?
Bondoing
Why?
the veneer.
Oh.
Very bad.
So did you take off the veneer?
Just the back part.
Cool. So that's the blue dresser we picked up. We really wanted to leave the blue on, but upon further inspection, it had a lot of water damage and the veneer was really damaged. So Corey is actually repairing part of the top so that we can then paint it. Well, sand, paint. So that's part of the prepping. Sometimes you think that something is going to be an easy fix, but then it's like you open Pandora's box and you find out everything that is wrong with it. But no worries. We are going to fix it right up. Here is a good example. This is the veneer on both sides, and it was missing a good chunk that came loose, so we had to repair that. And obviously once you do that, the old finish is out of the question because you have no way to match it exactly as it was before. So now we're left with having to paint over it, and that's one of the main reasons why. Anytime you see something, don't be fooled that it's going to be an easier job. What you got there? Ooh.
Primer.
So that's what you've been doing here?
Yes. We're priming it because I don't want to spend the shellac because shellac is more expensive.
But also this will prevent bleed through, right?
Right. This will also allow us to use less paint when we finally get to do the top.
That looks good. And then you can see here, let me see, where Corey used the bundle earlier to repair it. The only reason you can see it now that he's put the primer is because it's a thin coat. So go ahead and cover it, babe. Let's see what it looks like. Ah, not my finger. So you can never tell, you couldn't tell now that that was repaired. That looks really amazing.
The secret to painting is layers.
Right. So you're doing another layer on that.
And then after this one dries, I'll probably sand it down, and then I'll shellac the rest of
the whole
everything
thing. Looks good. Oh, I don't like that. Can we?
Could be sanded.
All right, looking good.
Got Mr. Blue Dresser here. Got all the drawers taken out. I hosed off with the air hose all the drawer guides. Just kind of spread some of that grease around a little bit so where I was on the bearings. Got all the loose paint off. Most of that on the inside came off with the air hose. And over here, sorry it's so shaky, I don't have a tripod for this guy. I got my mirror that goes with it. He's going to get shellacked as well. And I've set up all the drawers over here so I can shellac those. I know the sun pattern in my yard, so I know in about an hour or so this is all going to be shade. So I'm not too worried about that. I don't want to spray in the sunshine because it could bubble up.
So Corey got a little impatient and started painting the ones, or shellacking the ones that were closer to the shade, and then he ended up having to wait to finish the rest because the sun was still shining bright, and then moved on to the rest of the piece and shellacked the whole thing as well. And if you're not familiar on why we do shellac, is to prevent any bleed through, any tannings, or any staining from the wood. So after much deliberation, we decided to go with Dixie Belle Savannah Mist. I'm not sure if you can see that. Let's see, where is it? Right there. So it's like a grayish dusty blue, and I think it's gonna look really pretty on that piece. So even though Corey didn't want to let me paint it, he wanted to have all the fun since he had already put on all the work on this one. He let me get started on it, and then I handed over the paint to him so he could finish it. This was essentially his baby, his project, so he did most of the painting too. And as you can see, some parts of here look a little bit darker. That is the parts that are drying. This color ended up being just a little too dark for what I had in mind, so I ended up mixing some other colors to lighten it up a little bit and make it just a little bit more blue and softer. I'm gonna mix up some more paint onto here for the last coat, and it will be a full coat, so you won't be able to see what's underneath, and it will serve as a base regardless. And this is actually a gallon of Dixie Belle fluff. It's one of my favorite whites that I use a lot, so I have quite a bit of that. And so let's start with a little bit of gray. Right tool for the right job. You know who taught me that? Best if you pour it so you don't contaminate the can, but it's not that much. And just so you get an idea of how well this paint covers, that whole piece has gotten a pretty good coverage. It's only one coat and I've only used half of this. I have this board that I was testing to pick the color I wanted. This one is Haint Blue, and this is Savannah Mist, which is what we're using. So if you can see, it looks a little bit darker, and that's kind of why I'm mixing it, because I want something slightly lighter. So this is the final mix. So after we laid the first coat, we usually sand the piece, because usually the paint will harden whatever debris is on top, and so you always want to sand that so that you have a smooth finish. I sanded the top, the bottom, and especially the parts that were that you could see some of the wood grain. I sanded that, and then we're going to go ahead and apply another coat, and that will be the final coat. While my paint was drying, I went ahead and spray painted the handles. I usually like this premium gold paint because it's really pretty and vintage. And then the last piece here, it got dark on me already, but the last part of the project was to clean the overspray on the mirror. And a good trick for this is to use Windex. So I wanted to show you guys, because this is always so satisfying to take off all of that paint. And it comes off really easy with the Windex. You just want to make sure you keep it away from the paint that you do want to keep on the piece. So the next day, the final step is to seal it, and we usually like water-based polyacrylic for this. We'll do a couple layers of that, and so that it's really well protected. And here's the final product, you guys. We loved it. This was a clean finish. Like we said earlier, no waxing, no aging, nothing. We just wanted a clean finish. Since it's a big piece, we figure it was a statement enough on its own, and it didn't need much help. The hardware was beautiful, and it came out great.
Thank you, assistant. We made it to the end of another video. You made it to the end of another video. Click like and subscribe for more videos like this. But I probably won't sing cause I don't get a kiss from you.
Alright guys, that's it for this video. We hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and subscribe to the YouTubes so you can find any more videos whenever we upload them. See you guys in the next video. Bye.
Was that you living in someone else's dreams?